Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. For the longest time I wanted a tree skirt underneath my tree and I couldn't find anything that was in my budget that I liked, or I never had the time and materials on hand to make a tree skirt. But this year for some reason the craft gods have somehow aligned all of the stars and allowed me to knock out as many projects as possible. So today I'm going to share with you how I made my cute little tree skirt here. So I was inspired by a lot of the skirts over at Anthropologie, and of course like the price on some of those skirts were really expensive. So I was just like, I'm gonna try to whip up something shabby chic on my own here. Okay, so the first material I am going to start off with is a duck canvas. It's pretty heavy duty. It's definitely almost a denim quality and texture. So for this tutorial I don't have a pattern that you can print out, so I did create a PDF instruction manual kind of thing that is going to be linked down below, and you can follow that step by step on how to create the perfect circle. So the first thing I did was I took my duck canvas and I ironed it out, making sure that it's really nice and smooth. So here I'm just folding it lengthwise and then I fold again widthwise. So on the corner where the folds are, this is where you're going to be doing most of your patterning work on. So the best way to do this is to have a pen, like a push pen or an awl is what I'm using here. Also a measuring tape, and then obviously a pencil. And so what I did was I poke a hole at the end of the measuring tape and I place it right on the corner of the fabric. For me, I decided that I want the first mark to be 3 inches away from where my awl is going to be. So what I did here was I poked a hole 3 inches away from where the awl is, and then I stick my pin in that hole and I swing it back and forth on the fabric to create an arc. Next up, I'm going to mark the second marking, which is going to be how wide or how big I want the skirt to be. So for me, I decided to make a mark 18.5 inches away from the corner. And as you can see, I punctured a hole through the 18.5 inch mark on my measuring tape. And then I put my pin through that hole and I just swing it back and forth to create the larger arc. And now I am just going to cut along those arc lines that I made. And so I'm cutting around the outside, and then here I'm cutting around the inside. Here it is, just a simple base. Now you have so many options here. You can literally just like glue on some ties, maybe some fringes. You can leave it as is. You can hem around the edge and then just use it as is. So for me, I'm going to use this window pane fabric because I have just enough left to use it for a tree skirt. Okay, so here I am just going to cut out strips of this fabric about 6 inches or so. You want bigger ruffles, you can do something wider like 8, 9, 10 inches. If you want smaller ruffles, then stick to the 3-4 inch range. Because my fabric is not long enough lengthwise, I'm just going to cut out a couple of strips and then I am going to sew them all together. So as you can see, I'm just placing it right sides together and I sew down the one edge and then I open it up. That's pretty much it there. So I pop on a ruffler's foot, which is really awesome. If you don't own one, I highly suggest it if you are someone that sews a lot. Pretty much I just throw the strips of fabric into my machine and then the ruffler's foot will just ruffle it for me. You can obviously do this the old-fashioned way where you create a base stitch with the widest stitch that you have on your sewing machine, and then you can go through and pull the bobbin stitch and then slowly ruffle it by hand. And now I just simply attach the ruffles on top of the skirt. I kind of like the raw edge of the ruffle on top. You can obviously sew it on the bottom. You can do it right sides together and flip it over and then top stitch. Whatever your style is, I think that there's a lot of freedom and creative range here. Technically, if you want, you can pop a zipper in this baby and maybe even the waistband, and it can be an actual human skirt. You might want to open up the waist a little bit, but yeah, this is pretty much the foundation of how you would make a human circle skirt. Okay, so now it's just going to be finishing up all the raw edges. So I am going to finish up the center circle. Again, this is optional, like, because the presents and stuff is going to be underneath the tree. You really won't be able to see it. I would know, so I'm going to do this. Basically, I use a bias tape maker to create a bias strip out of the same fabric. This fabric was cut on bias. Now I'm just going to go ahead and add it around the circle. I may have to do some basic tutorials on how to attach bias strips, but I will link some videos down below on how to do that. Up, I am going to cut a few more strips, and these are not going to be on bias. They're just going to be cut on grain. Again, you don't need the bias tape maker, but it's just easier because you don't have to mark it out and use a ruler to figure out where all your lines are. You just pop it in this baby and you iron and go. So how I create the ties is I just fold up the one raw edge and I sew along. And then I fold it again in half and I sew along the length. And I repeat that another 7 times to create 7 more ties. I'm obviously doing this the long way because I want the ties to match the fabric. So now I'm just going to place all the ties on each side of where the split is of the skirt. And then I sew straight down to make sure that they're all attached. And now I just tie them up and it's a cute little tree skirt. So yeah, this is what it looks like underneath my tree, and I'm just very happy with the way it turned out. I'm actually really glad that I made my own. I saved a ton of money because I didn't have to buy it. So that is the project for this week. I hope you guys like the project. Also, I did create kind of like not a PDF, but like an instruction manual on my Trello board on how to measure out the skirt for you if you need help on that. And if you do try out this video, definitely shoot me a photo over at my Instagram. I'm constantly on Instagram these days, or even on my Facebook. One last note, I made a mistake on my last video where I posted an invite link to my Trello board, which I totally did not mean to. It's supposed to be a public open link where anyone can view it from like a desktop or a mobile phone without having to sign up for anything. So I corrected that, so you can definitely check out my Trello boards now. Also, on my Trello boards, I do post a lot of deals and steals and coupons and stuff that I find throughout Amazon because I'm a little bit of a coupon hunter. So if you want to check those deals out, especially for Black Fridays, go ahead and take a look and see if you can find anything. And I think I'm rambling here, so I want to say thank you for watching the video. Like, subscribe, do all the stuff, or don't do anything. Just have a good day, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye!